Hello and welcome to this masterclass. My name is Florian Alexander Zorn and I'm more than happy to host such an incredible event. And of course, I'm happy that all of you, tuned in. Hopefully everybody is healthy out there, and I couldn't be proud enough to say that this is going to be a very, very special masterclass. We do have 6 of the most famous drummers out there, and they are all sharing their knowledge, what they are doing with brushes, and hopefully we can get you also excited to pick up your brushes and use them in several different kind of contexts. So without further ado, I don't want to talk too much, just let them come in, all those incredible artists, and say hello. Hey.
Hello.
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 Hey, everybody.
Hey, it's working. That is amazing. Yeah, we had quite some difficulties to go through, but now everything works, and that is so amazing that everybody of you is taking the time to share their knowledge and to be a part of this event. Thank you, first of all, for being here. Hopefully everybody of you is healthy, and everybody is also in a positive way connected here. So
So far, so good.
So far, so good. That's great, actually. First of all, I wanted to start with Steve. Steve, we saw so many videos out there where you were sharing your practice methods while in quarantine and doing several kind of stuff. And you also shared a video with us, what we are going to look in a couple of minutes. But first of all, how are you doing, Steve?
Fine. Doing well, you know, staying isolated and able to put in some time every day in my practice room here. So I'm doing pretty well.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you've even been able to record something for us, and you played your favorite brush pattern, and that is something we'll have a look now, and then we'll discuss what you did there. So let's have a look at your pattern first. Exactly. That is what I call the mother of all brush beats. That is absolutely. Can you a little bit explain what you've been doing there?
Well, wait, first of all, did you notice in that last clip there was a low boy?
Yes, absolutely. And where did you get that from?
Yeah, that was from Australia. That was from a club called Bird's Basement. And Frank Corniola, who's really the main guy in Australia that really brings the drummers there for clinics and concerts. And at his drum shop called Drum Tech, he had a beautiful old kit from the 1920s, complete with a lowboy.
Wow.
And so I picked it up and started playing, and it sounded actually pretty incredible. So I incorporated it into, into the gig basically. And yeah, that in the first clip, that's me here in Southern Oregon, just outside my drum room, playing in my backyard, essentially on a
Wow.
little Zildjian snare drum.
Yes.
And I'm playing match grip on that clip, traditional grip on the clip from Melbourne, but essentially it's the same pattern. And it's a very, like you said, like the mother of all patterns, a very basic pattern. And I'm sure I learned it from like Ed Thigpen and Jeff Hamilton, just a real basic, like and I have my Ed Thigpen rush up pad here, but it's simply starting like 1 is here and then 2 is there. So I'm just sliding the left hand stays on the head, right hand comes up, moves across, and then 3, 4. So it's in its simplest form with no skip beat. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then you add the skip beat on the way back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. And it works in match grip or traditional grip. And then in traditional grip, I'm actually doing something that simulates match grip, is turning the hand over so the brush has more contact with the head. So it gets a thicker sound. And then a little accent sometimes with that left hand, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And that's really, that basic grip, that basic pattern.
Yes.
It's pretty simple, and it's just a matter of getting fluent with it. And another couple of things to notice, I try to always stay in contact with the head so you don't hear the snare drum ringing in between, so it's a darker kind of sound. And then in that clip where I'm playing in my garden, so with that Zildjian snare, if you listen to it again, I'm singing a 12-bar blues to myself. Right. So I gave myself some form to play with. And I think I did like 4 choruses of up-tempo blues for that demonstration.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing that, because many people think when they start playing with brushes, they have to play in a traditional grip, right? So it's cool seeing you that you are now playing it with a matched grip, and it's definitely possible to do so. So regardless if you want to, my opinion on that is, if you're playing the sticks with matched grip, don't change to a traditional grip then. Absolutely. Everything is also possible with a matched grip there. But who got you into brush playing? What was your first teacher who taught you things with brushes, Steve?
Actually, I don't think I had any instruction originally on brushes. I just played brushes because growing up, even in my junior high and high school years, I was playing with groups, and they were acoustic groups, and so there would be like a acoustic piano and a clarinet and an acoustic bass. So I just had to play brushes. So the way I started out was just picking them up and starting to play. I don't think I actually ever had any lessons on the brushes until I met Ed Thigpen and Jeff Hamilton, and then I actually got some direction on the brushes. So I just played them the best I could before that.
And before the live stream, you showed up one book which is called Brush Artistry. That is also one book I definitely want to mention. That is,
Book
in
that
my
I
opinion,
had as a youngster.
exactly. That's
Kind of a classic.
the Bible for brush playing.
You know, Alan Dawson, I studied with Alan Dawson for a year. He had me play brushes because a lot of what, he teaches is playing, he was teaching playing rudiments and working out with the brushes like that. But we never really discussed it in a technical sense. He just had me play brushes and play rudiments. So, and that wasn't using this concept so much that I just talked about of keeping the snare drum from ringing. It was more just, in a way, using the brushes like sticks,
Right.
which some drummers do, like Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson, and Joe Morello, and some of those drummers. They played the brushes, and it was similar to how they played with sticks, and it was less of a whole separate sound. Like if you listen to Elvin Jones, for instance, it's a very different kind of sound.
Absolutely.
Very dark sound, and that's really pressing the brush into the head with
Exactly.
a lot more weight.
Exactly. So thanks for sharing that. We also got a video from Dave, from you. And that is a complete different thing. That shows the brushes in a completely different context. And before we talk about it, let's have a listen first.
1, 2.
Yes.
Nice.
Amazing. That is in a completely different genre. So first of all, Dave, how are you doing? Hope everything is all well on your end.
Doing well, thanks. Yeah, it's we always say, kind of joke about the isolation thing. I mean, most of us have been doing this all our lives. We isolate and practice, and so it's not so much different. But separated from my wife, who's in Italy, my wife Clivia, so I'm unfortunate about that. But
Wow.
other than that, everybody's healthy, everybody's good, so we're grooving. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for taking the time to sending that video. You've been playing that kind of stuff in the 16th note concept, and I noticed that your right hand was basically tapping a lot and your left hand was sweeping. So basically, it's kind of the same context, or than Steve was doing, but putting that pattern into a 16th note thing. Can you explain it a little bit more for us?
Yeah, well, this pattern was the original one, especially on the table that I was playing.
Yes.
Sort of inspired by Steve Gadd, because Steve's one of my favorite brush players, especially in this contemporary 16th note context. So the pattern is kind of basically this is what it is. So I'm playing a basic part with the right hand, which is just that 16th pattern, right? Do it from over here. Well, let me get Russ's hip little pattern going here. Okay, so I'm just playing 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, and I'm doing it kind of holding the hand this way, in
Yes.
this upside down sweeping motion. And Jeff Hamilton plays a lot like this because he does
Right.
a lot of those kind of. He's one of the greatest brush players, and I have a few favorites. Adam Nussbaum's one of my absolute favorites on brushes, but this underneath swipe gives a more legato type of
Right.
feel instead of playing just vertical plate, these type of strokes. So, and the left hand, it's an interesting thing because there's clockwise and there's counterclockwise,
Right.
and I've always gone counter, and I don't really know why. I too don't remember having formal lessons when I was young. Besides my first teachers, Bob Matheny and Joe Berger, I know they showed me something, but I honestly don't remember where I kind of got this from. But I know that some of us go counter, some of us go clockwise. So I think it's just a matter of what we're used to doing. But so
Yes.
the basis of this pattern: 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN. Now the left hand, 1 EN, I'm kind of playing that 16th accent. 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, 1. And if I want more of kind of a kabasa shaker effect, then I put more of the brush into the pad or the drum that way.
Ah,
3, 4, 1. Okay, so, but as far as the brushes go in general, I've always just had the mindset to practice what you play with sticks, with the brushes, to work on single strokes. And in order to do this, you have to, there's not a lot of bounce with these guys, obviously, so you have to
Yes.
play with controlled strokes, holding on to the brush, and it's up and out of the drum, right? So singles, doubles, all those kind of things are very important, in my opinion, to practice and to get right, and
Right.
So you can utilize them on the drums. Now, another thing that I was doing on the performance there was a little flutter stroke off the head, which
Right.
creates a nice effect, kind of like this.
right.
So you get a lot of kind of cool things going on with that flutter stroke, right? And actually
Right.
make some music out of it.
Absolutely.
Do things like that. So that's kind of the basis of it. But just like Steve, sometimes I'll go over the top. But like I said, this initially was kind of inspired by something Steve Gadd actually showed me, who's one of my
Right.
favorites, of course. But again, never leaving the head and going up and under like that.
Let me ask you this question. When you use that on the drum set, and basically in a 16th note context, normally all the band members are used that in a 16th note thing, the frequencies of the hi-hat are in there. So because you're playing the whole time on the snare drum, maybe this frequency is missing. What do you do with your hi-hat? Are you stepping it on the offbeats, or what are you doing with the hi-hat then?
I mean, generally speaking, it kind of assists the time on 2 and 4 for the most part for this particular groove. But I also like to utilize the hi-hat both in 16th and in triplet applications to be part of the strokes. So in this context, I use it kind of like this sometimes. You can see it from here.
Okay.
Like that. You can.
Nice.
Yes.
I utilize both closed and open as part of the strokes, as part of the groove, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I totally was digging that one for sure. and also one of another video which Jojo sent us. And let's have a look at this video. Amazing. Jojo,
Hey.
it's an incredible groove, and sorry that, but I have to tell you this story first. What got me into brushes was your playing on your recording with Rebecca Buchan. You've been playing there several grooves which were outstanding. I didn't even know that you've been playing on that CD, but when I heard that, I was freaking out because I never heard a drummer playing modern grooves with brushes like that. Amazing, absolutely. So, question to you is, first of all, you are doing okay, hopefully. You are currently
Yeah,
in
all
Switzerland, right?
Yeah, all good.
All good, perfect. And here comes the thing. What you are playing there is also a 16th note groove. Do you have brushes with you? Can you show us something?
Well, okay. Quickly to give a little bit of like background information.
Totally.
You know, as Dave mentioned, and like Steve, you know, like I got into with like the brushes in like a very informal way, you know, because I didn't really have like a drum teacher, and that particular book, that Philly Joe book, I got that from a clinic with Philly Joe Jones, which my dad took me. I think when it was like maybe 9 or 10 years old. And so that was the first time where I was acquainted there is a concept of playing those things, which I wasn't really sure. I mean, I watched drummers, but I could never really figure out how this works. So I tried those diagrams and stuff like this, and then I put it away. And it was until a couple of years later, when I was a teenager, a Swiss drummer called Charlie Antolini. He's kind of like a big band swing drummer. He showed me a stroke, which was kind of like this lateral stroke that kind of didn't move in the circular, you know, like I think of guys doing those type of things, and it really opens up different solutions. You know, as I'm saying, like, you know, there's a limit with diagrams. You know, you only get so and so far, and then you know, once you got that behind, then it's like, you know, how do you create a sound from like the drum head, you know? And I think that's when the interesting things happen, and you know, that's when, you know, you start to be more authentic with the brushes.
We're basically up and running, just to let you know.
Okay.
So,
Great.
So I will just go. I'll skip that story. All right, I just talked to.
That is great.
So essentially, my main approach is a textural one.
Okay.
I think more of like a kabasa player or like a shekere player when I do those type of things. So I'm a little bit stepping out of my drum head. So either way, other than the lateral diagram that I explained, that is basically that groove that I played. If I will go, I just translate vertical motion into horizontal one. Okay.
Right.
Okay, and then I add backbeats. Whoa, everything's falling apart. Okay, so you can see this alone kind of creates this like shakere shaker pattern. So it's very snappy, very staccato actually. But now we're talking about those sounds. And that's it. So other than that, I really pay attention to how much pressure I put on the brush. If the sound is like this, I go full down, or if I play off the head or into the head. And it's really simple, actually. There's not much more to it.
Yeah, it looks simple when you play it, but of course that is something when.
It's really up and down, ba 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 ba, and it goes ba 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 ba.
So you translate stickings. So let me ask you one other question.
Yeah.
Have you ever translated like the rudiments into sweeping motions also?
No.
No?
No.
Have you ever tried playing doubles or something like that with the brushes?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, as far
Yeah.
as being that rudimental, yes. I mean,
Yes.
singles and doubles, but the rudiments that I would play,
Yes.
maybe 5-stroke rolls or like a rough or something like that.
Exactly.
Those type of short flourishes. Yeah, but other than that, my head is not wired to this language. Of course, everything relates to like a rudiment somehow, but I'm not. That's not my approach to make the brushes. It's much more from trying to get the right sound.
And let me ask you the question regarding your tools you're using. You are currently using the Steve Gadd brush, right? With the
No.
angled wires? Which one is it?
No, I actually bend them myself. I just
Okay.
like put them out like this, and so I take a regular brush and then I have a choice of where
Yes.
I want to bend. But I don't do it with all the brushes. But actually, the brush that I use,
Is
I use the sweep.
exactly.
I pair the sweep brush of the Russ Mailer brush.
Right.
So I have a storage with a lot of ride brushes that I don't need. So it's like
eBay,
eBay,
Jojo, eBay.
These are nice. I kind of like they're a little bit heavier than like the. I use the purple brush in the studio.
Yes.
There in the studio, the purple one works better, but live from what I do, I need a little bit more weight. So the
Right.
sweep brush is good. That works for me.
And you bend it yourself just by getting a little bit out and then
Yeah,
Bending
that's
it
a
on the
really
floor,
old
right?
trick. That's
Yes.
really old. That's like guys in the 20s used to do that.
right. Yeah. Do you know, or let me, Peter, you are next, and let me ask you this question first. Is it right that brushes were never meant to be brushes because actually they were flight swatters first? Is that right? Have you heard that story?
I couldn't hear. Brushes weren't meant to be brushes. What?
Sorry for that, but brushes, first of all, were there was a patent on them. They were used as flight swatters. Have you ever heard that story?
I've heard something about brush-like apparatus being improvised, and maybe fly swatters were
Exactly.
part of it. But actually, Florian, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so okay, that's honest and that's cool. And let's see your video then. Absolutely great playing. Can you explain a little bit what you did there?
Okay, well, so Steve, would you agree that when we were talking about drummers keeping the brush on the head surface, I think part of the reason we like to do that is because so many of our brush playing heroes were playing brushes on calf heads, and plastic heads have more of a boingy kind of a ring. So by always keeping a brush right or left on the head gives it a warmer, fatter sound. Right?
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah, very good point.
Okay. So just a couple of other pointers, if I may, Florian and gang. So I like to try to keep the brushes as parallel as possible to the playing surface. So I'm just getting more of the brush, contact or surface area. And so in order to keep the brush on the head, there's a lot of dead sticking. And whatever we're doing with the brush, and I was playing a kind of straight eighth note ballad feel. But the most important thing we can do is to provide rhythmic information to the other musicians. So if you're playing a ballad, like Misty, look at me, I'm as helpless. I mean, it just sounds like somebody turned the air conditioner on. So we want to provide a pulse. And that can be as simple as just lifting a brush up and bringing it back down on the surface again. Like Dave, like Steve, and I believe like Elvin Jones, I do the swimming motion as opposed to the harvesting of wheat or hugging a bunch of puppies or something. It's this kind of swimming motion where the left hand is going counterclockwise. And just by simply lifting and bringing the brush back down on the head, you get a rhythm. And what I was doing in that example, Florian, was just a straight eighth note version of a ride cymbal pattern. So it was 1, 2, and 3, 4, and holding it loose here so I can pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Elbows are by my sides, all just very relaxed. I think all of us will quote one of the other of our heroes or drumming masters, whether it be Buddy, Louis, Ed Thigpen. Ed Shaughnessy was right. Giving a clinic, and Ed put it very succinctly. I think he said about 90 or 95% of your brush articulation will come from the lead hand. I like incorporating the left a bit more. I wish I had learned the technique that we've seen displayed so beautifully with the sweeping motion and getting a good articulation like what Jojo, Steve, and Dave are all doing. My left hand is a little more simplistic. It just keeps the head from ringing, provides a cushion of sound, and every once in a while we'll jump in on the rhythmic fun. Like everyone else, I was more or less self-taught. I just tried to imitate what I heard drummers doing on albums. So that's what's happening with that beat.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And let's go because time is running. And I want to get to the next one. Russ sent us a video, which is basically some sort of a variation of what you've been doing, Peter. So let's have a look at the next video of Russ playing. So Russ, first of all, where did you get that T-shirt?
Oh, the Yoda playing drum shirt? That's
Exactly.
genius, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's great. I found it, you know, you get those weird little advertisements on Facebook to buy all this crazy stuff, and then all of a sudden one of them was a Yoda t-shirt playing drums, and I'm like, I'm in. I got it.
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
get more comments about that shirt. Amazing.
Yeah. And what you could see in this video, you also have been playing like a shakere figure with your right hand. Am I right? Can you explain it a little bit further?
Yeah, you know, that pattern, I've got a lot of mileage out of that thing over the years, and it's similar to what Dave said. I actually stole the foundation from it from Gad, and him and he was doing a mission from Gad tour for Zildjian years ago, and
Right.
and I went and hung with him for a couple 3 days, and at the end of every night we would play these brush things together, and he showed me that pattern, which is driven by the writing pattern in the right hand, like Dave said, and it's sort of the left hand is sweeping. But I actually adjusted it from some lessons that I took with Jose Quintana, who Changuito, who was from Cuba, one of the great
Yes.
Cuban drummers, and invented what we know as the drum set patterns for Afro-Cuban music.
Right.
And he basically was playing this Z-shaped pattern to make a shaker sound. And it was literally a pointed figure 8 that was sort of 2 upside down Z's. And it, you know, you could play it with just your right hand, like, and it covers a lot of real estate on the drum. And he was just basically doing that and then playing quarter notes with his left hand. So I sort of incorporated it together where and it does, it sounds where I'm actually articulating the entire melody and then going back and playing the drum part, which is the time, and combining those two together. So the long passages in the melody, I could either continue to play the melody or go to the beat to fill it in. So play the beat, play the melody, where I'm constantly combining my job as a drummer for rhythmic support of the ensemble with a much deeper interplay into the composition than sometimes is possible sonically with some of the instruments with sticks. So that really connected with me, and it changed the way I thought about everything that I was doing, that I was now responsible for the sustain. So even playing that 16th note thing, it's how long can I make those shaker sounds, and how long can I play those melody notes, and really just building a thick sustaining sound out of the brushes. And that's kind of where all that comes from for me, is starting at that point.
Wow. Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. Amazing story you have been telling. Like, brushes are never meant to be played quiet, but longer. Love it. Love it. Since, as I said, YouTube is behaving a little bit difficult, let's move on to the next one. And the last one, Stanton Moore. We got a great video sent from you. And let's have a listen what you've been playing there. It's outstanding. always some New Orleans in there, even with brushes. Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Stanton, what is this pattern? Of course, I noticed that you've been playing basically some sort of a same movement, but then you've been switching it all over different patterns. Can you talk a little bit about this attitude?
Yeah. So as I got into brushes, as a lot of us know, it can be overwhelming. What do you play in certain different situations, different genres? So after a lot of investigation, a lot of shedding, and Florian, you asked Jojo if he had worked on rudimental stuff, and I did study a lot of stuff that you put out, and then I started checking out the different things like doubles, paradiddles, singles. But after a lot of investigation, what I wound up really digging was basically taking that Steve Gadd crescent in the right hand, right? And then sweeping back and forth, E's and Ah's in the left hand. So and then I realized, are we still live or did we go away?
Oh, we are still live. Everything's working.
Still live. So then I realized with that pattern, I could get almost anything I wanted, right? So funk. Right? Then we would go with Hey Pocky Way. Right? I could even get the jazz ride cymbal pattern if I really wanted to. Right? If I was playing jazz, I wouldn't do that, but you can get that. And then, if I was playing in 5, and then if you want to, Russ, I know you've studied with Jeff Hamilton, so have I. And so, I love the thing that Jeff does.
Ah, yes.
Right? So you can. Then start to try and approximate some of the Elvinish stuff, but the hands are still doing this. So even if I'm playing in 5/4 or a funk in 7,
Yes.
the hands are still doing that crescent
Right.
and then E's and Ah's.
I love that
So-
one.
So
Yes.
that's one of the things that I use, and I wind up using it a lot because, you could even do a slow 12/8. So it's really useful in a lot of different situations and styles.
Absolutely phenomenal. I totally remember when you got totally into brushes, and then we had a lot of chats together. But that is outstanding. What you're now
I've
doing
learned
with
a
that.
lot from talking to you. I've learned a lot from talking to Russ, talking to Steve. We've all gotten together and had brush hangs, and so I've kind of learned by, going up to guys who play brushes, and Jojo. We've hung out in hotel lobbies, and Dave and Peter. I hope we get to do that. But I've just learned by just reaching out to guys and be like, man, let's get together, let's hang, and so I've learned kind of that way, and like going over to Jeff Hamilton's house, going to Russ. I've come to your house, Steve. We've hung out in hotels, and that's how I've kind of learned, is just by getting together and having brush hangs with guys and picking up a little something here and a little something there, and then putting it together into my own kind of situation.
Well, thank you for sharing this. And you can definitely see that brush playing evolved over the centuries, so to say. And Vic Firth recently also published a new kind of brush, which is called the Remix brush. And we prepared a short video for that. So let's have a look for everybody out there who haven't seen them before. So you haven't been able to hear them, of course, but the concept behind those is that you can stick 4 different pairs of brushes together. And I have thought the pattern that I want to share with you guys is that actually I'm playing a lot of rudiments in my playing. And when, Jojo, I ask you for the double strokes, I'm playing them in a V kind of shape. So I'm playing them like inward, outward, like this motion. And basically, you can implement that in different sort of grooves. Of course, you can play with them and also with normal brushes. And I will show you 1 or 2 grooves, how I implement them, the doubles or paradiddles even, into grooves. So basically, that is also implementing a lot of your techniques that you've been mentioning, but spicing them a little bit up with double strokes or playing a crescent and implementing like a double, like playing paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Because when I started, as I said, my first recording with brushes I ever heard was yours, Jojo. And then I started off with different recordings from Jeff Hamilton, like Live in Studio 4, played in Cologne, stuff like that. And that is absolutely incredible stuff you've been doing there. So we are already coming to an end, and I cannot thank you enough that you took your time during that whole crazy time, and that you've been sharing all your knowledge with us. And the guys at Vic Firth they did something very special because they want to do a giveaway. And the giveaway, how it works, is the following. So now that you've had the chance to learn from some of the best in the world, now it's your turn out there to show us what you can do. Vic Firth is going to give away a pair of brushes and a bundle of 1 pair of each of these artists who are attending this live stream signature sticks to 1 lucky winner. Plus, you will have the chance to be featured on the Vic Firth channel. All you have to do is participate, is first post a video on Instagram of you playing brushes and using something you learned in today's masterclass. And second, use the hashtag VFBrushMasters and tag @VicFirth in your post. So basically that's it to attend, and then hopefully you will be selected as the lucky winner. So is anything or anybody of you want to say something to the audience? Because I think in the next couple of minutes we'll be out.
Yes. Very important. If your air
Nice.
conditions ever go out, like this summer, yeah.
You guys check out this video that Adam Nussbaum and I produced for Hudson Music a few years back. 7 hours of brush education.
Absolutely.
Joe Murillo, Charlie Pritchett, Eddie Locke, Billy Hart, and Ben Riley. It just really gets into a lot of detail of brushes and is full of great information. And by the way, during that hour, I got a text from Jeff Hamilton, and he hacked into the system and tried to take it down.
Probably did.
That's what he just texted me.
That's
There's some
good.
great
Yeah, those-
play alongs for everybody in that system, Steve. Like a lot of times on the road,
Right.
I use those play alongs just to practice. They're really happening.
Yeah, when I
They're
was
great.
designing my my brush course for my online school, all that stuff as one of my research tapes that I went to check out all you guys. So yeah, it's really good, man. It's great.
Really
Cool. Well, that's good to know.
The only thing I'll plug is the notion of everyone keep washing your hands and stay at home. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to mention also that, of course, we got U6 on that live stream, which is phenomenal. But of course, there are many other brush players out there. So if you watch this video out there, please do your research. Of course, you cannot get away from Jeff Hamilton, Clayton Cameron, Adam Nussbaum. There are so many great brush players out there. And what you've been seeing here is like the tip of the iceberg. So please pick your brushes and use them in all different situations. As Russ mentioned, it's not meant to be played quiet, but with long notes. And of course, you can play that in funk or in drum and bass, whatever. Watch out for Jojo, what he's doing with dreadlocks, for example. It's phenomenal. Thanks for attending this live stream, and hope you all stay safe, and see you.